Prairie promised to be here today. And she's not. She's really late. I haven't heard from her. She promised. She sent me a text, said she went to a friend's house to play a video instead. She promised she'd be here. What does it mean to keep a promise?
Making a promise means someone will care about you.
To keep your word. Right, Jake?
That you won't do it anymore.
Tell somebody that you'll do something and then you actually do it.
We always have to keep our promise because if we don't, people will feel sad and they won't believe us. And Jesus keeps his promise, and we should keep our promises too.
Oh.
Hi, Lori.
Oh, hi.
Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, I kind of missed you.
Well, I know I promised to be here, but Miss Jean called, and she invited me to come play video games at her house.
Miss Jean plays video games?
Totally. So, I mean, I had to go do that. So then Miss Jean and I were talking, and I was telling her that I was actually supposed to be here. And then she said something about how this week's commandment was actually about keeping promises. So I felt really bad, and here I am.
Why, yes, it is. Let me just read that. So it's Exodus 20, verse 14. You shall not commit adultery.
Adultery. Doesn't that have to do with a marriage promise?
Yeah, it does. You know, Bill and I have been married almost 38 years. Really happy about that. In fact, I brought a picture to show. That's our wedding day when we made our vows. That's another word, vow. It's a promise. And we made promises to each other to love each other forever. And I know this may sound icky to you, but to not hug or kiss any other person. So Bill is mine and I am his, and we promised that to each other. And in fact, he gave me a ring. You have a ring.
I do.
You're married. I have a ring, and it's round, a circle, it has no end, and that is a symbol of a promise. Bill's promise to me, and he has one, my promise to him.
I think promises are like a lot of other things where the more you practice, the better you get at it.
That's true.
So if we start practicing when we're young, keeping little promises like, I'll clean my room or I'll brush my teeth, then not only will people trust us, but we'll get better and better at keeping our word.
That's true. Now think about it. If I promised you, which I did, that I would teach Sunday school every week, what would happen if I just didn't? I didn't show up.
You know, I never really thought about that, Lori, because you are trustworthy, and it never even occurred to me that you wouldn't show up.
Well, thank you. But I know it would be hurtful to you. I think it would be hurtful to a lot of people.
We don't always keep our promises, but God does always keep his promises. That's one of the reasons that we can love and adore him and worship him as our God, because we know that what he says is true. The rainbow is a symbol of the promise. And when you see the rainbow in the sky, you can be reminded that God's promises will never be broken, that you can count on them.
Another example of a promise that God made was the Holy Spirit as a gift to us. So God promised, Jesus promised, when he left, he would send the Comforter, the Holy Spirit. And he did. Remember the flames on the head? That's the Holy Spirit.
We can work on keeping our promises, we can practice, and we can get better and better. But like with everything else, we will break our promises at times. Just like we won't always put God first. We will break the Sabbath. We won't always honor our parents. Sometimes we'll be unkind. But God has promised, one of his promises that we know he'll keep is to forgive us, to cleanse away our sin, and to give us another chance. Have a great week, kids. Peace be with you.
Peace be with you.
Well, hi kids, Miss Kathy here today, and I am working on an activity for you that goes along with the lesson from Miss Lori and Miss Mary today on keeping our promises. So I just finished coloring the letters, and it says, I will keep my promises on here, and I'm going to make a puzzle. I love puzzles. When I was growing up, I had a puzzle. It was one of those big 1,000-piece puzzles. It was really a large puzzle. And on it was a maze. And when I got done with it and trying to work out that maze and everything, I didn't want to break up the puzzle. I wanted to keep it together. So what I did was I got some cardboard and glued all the pieces onto the cardboard, so I always had that puzzle, and I put it up on my wall because I enjoyed kind of figuring out that maze, because it was a real difficult maze. Not only a difficult puzzle, but a difficult maze also. So I have an activity for you, and we are going to make a puzzle, and we're going to put it on here to remind us that I will keep my promises. So for this activity, I have, of course, my paper, and I'm using cardstock paper because it's a little thicker. The one that says, I will keep my promises, that I've already colored, and it has a square in it. I have another one with the same size square. I have some markers, scissors, and a glue stick. And what I'm going to draw on my square is a big heart, but I'm going to make it different colors. So first of all, I'm going to pick a very light color, and I'm going to start with a smaller heart, and then I'm going to color that in, and I'm going to keep on adding more colors and keep on making it larger and larger. And there we have it. And there's my heart. Now you can decorate your picture however you want to, but I decided to make a heart. So there's my heart. So now to make it into a puzzle, I'm going to draw some lines down, and I'm going to draw some lines across. And I'm going to kind of make them all squiggly. And there we have it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out around the square, and then I'm going to cut across each one of these lines to make puzzle pieces. And now I've cut them all out. So there's all my pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on this. I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to glue all these pieces onto here. All right. And now for that last piece, I just really enjoyed putting on the last piece of the puzzle. I'm sure you do too. So there is my puzzle. I will keep my promise puzzle. And it's in heart. And why this reminds me of keeping my promises is I want to keep this puzzle together. Just like that big 1,000-piece puzzle I did that was a maze, and I wanted to keep that together. This also I want to keep together, and this also reminds me to keep my promises. So kids, I hope you enjoy this activity.